Hey guys, this is Aniki, and I thought I would make a short tutorial on how to use a really great program called Instagiffer. Instagiffer is a free program that lets you make GIFs or GIFs if you like to say it that way, but I'm going to say it GIFs because that's how I grew up and that's what I'm going to do. And it's really easy, it's pretty fun, and it's by far the best way I found to get into learning how to make GIFs. There's other ways to do it that you can make more complicated GIFs with, but it's also harder to do it that way. So this is a really great program to use for really simple GIFs that can still come out looking really good. And I've made photo sets with it, um, well, GIF sets with it, and I've been using it for about 2 months now, and I really like it. So I thought I'd do a short video so you can see how it works and what to do. Okay, so the first thing you need to do is just go to instagiffer.com and download the program. Just click right here and download it, and it should install pretty easily. I don't think, at least in the version it's at now at 1.32, that it has any kind of freeware or spyware on your machine, so you should be able to just download it and install it right away without worrying about it very much. So once you get that done, you're going to go ahead and open up the program, and this is what it looks like. So there's a couple of different sections. You've got up here your input section where you choose what kind of video you're going to use. Down here you have all of your adjustments and your options, and over here is a pane that basically where you can see the video at, and you make the GIFs by clicking this big create GIF button down here. So with Instagiffer it's really neat because there's a couple of different ways that you can get video to use as your GIF. So one way is to capture screen, and so basically if you're playing a video from like Netflix or something on your computer, you can like maximize the screen and then click capture screen, and then it'll basically pull some video off of that and you can make GIFs off of that. Second way is you can go to YouTube and find a YouTube video you like, and then just copy the URL and paste it right into the bar here, and it'll bring up the video and you can make GIFs directly off of YouTube, which is really awesome. And the third way is any kind of video you have on your computer, you can use that to load it into Instagiffer and use that. And I haven't found anything that I've had on my computer that I couldn't make into a GIF yet, so no matter what you have, you should be able to pretty easily GIF it using Instagiffer. Today we're going to use a, basically I donated to the Riff Tracks Kickstarter a couple months ago, and so I got to download a Riff Tracks Manos the Hands of Fate riffing, so I'm going to make some videos of Manos the Hands of Fate, which is a really bad movie made in El Paso, Texas in the 60s that's become famous for being the worst movie ever made, and I love it. So I'm going to make some GIFs off of that today, and so I have the video up here on my desktop, so I'm just going to go and click load video, and I'm already on my desktop, so I'll just open up the video. And once the red lines like this show up, that means that Instagiffer is ready to start making GIFs off of it. So we're going to go ahead and open up the video also just in Windows Movie Player or whatever. And I like to do this because if you're going to be making GIFs, you need to kind of see what you're going to be making GIFs off of, and so you want to be watching the thing at the same time. So I know, just because I got ready to do this ahead of time, that the GIF I'm going to be using to make this tutorial is at 40 minutes. So we're just going to like go to about 40 minutes here, and we can just kind of look at the video, what's going on. And so I know that what I want to make the video off of is starting right about here. Okay, so I want to make a video off of this guy. His name's Torgo, and he's going to be just walking. And in the movie, he's supposed to be a satyr, like a half man, half goat guy. So the actor stuffs some pillows in his pants, and so he looks like he has goat legs, kind of, but not really. And so he has a funny walk. And so we're gonna take a video of Torgo's funny walk, or make a GIF of it. So as I said, it starts at 40 minutes and 2 seconds. So we're going to come over here to the GIF settings, and we're going to put in the 40 minutes, and then it's going to start pulling up 40 minutes, and then we'll tell it start at 2 seconds. And then it'll pull the frames up. Okay, and you can also even do hundredths of seconds here, but for right now we're going to start at just the 2 seconds. So we can see at the exactly 2 second mark that we've still got this guy, his name's Mike, in the frame, and we don't want him in the frame. So we can kind of grab down here and drag across, and that's going to show us every single frame, and as you can see here the frame count's going up. That's going to be in our GIF. So we can see all of them, and see down here, Torgo's doing his funny walk, but he's not, Mike's not in the frame, but he is here. So we want to basically start the video a little bit further on, so we'll try about 6 seconds, or 600ths of a second in. And oh, he's still in the frame. So we'll go up a little bit more to 8. And he's gone. Okay, so we could start here at 40 minutes, 2 seconds, and 8/10 of a second. And kind of drag again, see all of our frames. Okay, good. So nobody else is in the frame at any point, and we've just got Torgo here walking, which is great. Okay, so that's the basic GIF right there. If we wanted to, we could just export this and have a GIF just by pushing this button, and yay, we'd have a GIF. But we don't really want to do that. We want to do some other stuff to the GIF to make it upload to Tumblr easier and make it look good. So a couple other options also. We could have made the duration longer, so instead of being only a 3-second long GIF, we can make the GIF longer. Which is great, except that for Tumblr we have limits of how big a GIF can be, and even if you're not going to post this on Tumblr, if you're going to post it on something awful or Reddit or wherever else you like to go on the internet, they usually have limits on how big of a GIF can be, so you have to kind of respect that and know how big your GIFs can be and stay within those limits. Tumblr usually you can only have 1 meg for a GIF. Sometimes though, I've been able to upload GIFs that were up to 2 megs and have them animate, but most of the time if you upload a GIF that's more than 1 meg, it's going to not animate. You'll just see like the first frame and it's just going to get stuck there. But you can play around with it and see if Tumblr will be nice to you that day and let you upload bigger GIFs. But we're just going to try and stay within the 1 meg limit today because we don't want to be messing with whether or not it's going to animate. We just want to make our GIF. So again, we could make the duration bigger, but we're not going to do that yet. We're going to stick with the suggested 3 seconds. Okay, so this right here, this is the smoothness, and that means that the higher it goes, the more frames are going to be in your GIF. So it's going to look better, it's going to animate better, but also that's going to make the GIF size bigger. So we need to be careful to not go and put too many frames in it, or else it's going to be a really short GIF in order for us to be able to upload it to Tumblr. Usually though, I like to start at 9. I think that 7 and 8 look kind of jerky. I think 10 actually is where it starts looking actually really good, but 9 looks acceptably good, I think. And as you can see, before we were at, I think, 22 or 23 frames, and now we're at 27 frames. So it's the exact same start and end point. It's just that you can kind of see, if you remember from earlier, now he's walking pretty, the animation's smoother. Okay, so we're going to just bump this up to 9 and let it sit there for a minute. Now there's also frame size, and that basically means how big in physical space the GIF is. So we can look down here to the pixel count, I should say, and basically it's 384 pixels long by 216 pixels tall, which is okay, except that there are different sizes that you can make your photos that fit on Tumblr. You can either have 1, 2, or 3 pictures per line for a photo set on Tumblr, and we're gonna say we're gonna put these on Tumblr, so we want to make sure that it's the right size for Tumblr. So if you can go and find like a photo set dimensions post like this one, so it can tell you what it can be. So if you're going to have 1 picture on the line, it can be a maximum of 500 pixels. If you're going to have 2 pictures on a line, it's going to be 245 pixels, or 3 pictures is 160 pixels. Like, that's just what Tumblr will resize your picture to. So it's a good idea to kind of stay smaller than those dimensions if you're going to make your photo set look like any of these things, because anything more than that is a waste of space for Tumblr, because you don't need that space because Tumblr is going to shrink it back down. If you go too far under, Tumblr is going to expand it, and so your GIF might not look good if you make it really small and then you want to put it up there, because the pixels are going to get huge and it'll look fuzzy and blurry and not great. So really you want to stay within these like lines of how wide things should be, and they can be as tall as you want them to be. There's no limit on how tall something can be, only on how wide it can be on Tumblr. So in this case, we're going to say that this is going to be a part of a 2-line GIF, or 2 GIF sets on this line, and so we're going to stick to 245 pixels in this case. So we'll go back over to Instagiffer, and we want to move this down. So the first thing we want to do with our dimension is to get rid of this black over here, because that just doesn't look good to have just a bunch of black on either side. So you can see where there's these little red squares. You can grab that here, and you can bring it in. And we're going to keep it as tall as it is because there's no reason to make it less tall in this case. And then grab the square and bring it in. We want to make sure we keep all of the black off, so I like to kind of give it a pixel over here. Make sure that you get kind of a little bit of space to make sure that there's no black on the sides. And I also know from experience that for whatever reason this video will give you a little bit of black on the bottom, so I'm going to bring it up a pixel too. Okay, so now we have basically 289 by 215, which is good, but we don't need 289 pixels on the side. So we're going to grab the frame size slider and move it down so it's right around 245. Okay, so we have it down to 241, which is fine. Nobody's going to see a huge jump in quality or loss of quality by having those 4 pixels missing. That's fine. So 241 by 179 is a really good ratio, or a really good size. Speaking of ratio, though, you can see there's a ratio here. That basically helps you, like if you're going to make a lot of GIFs out of, maybe not out of the exact same video, when you load a new video, your box, your little red box here is going to disappear. It's going to not stay the same. So you want to, if you want to remember your ratio, that's going to help you make sure that all of your GIFs are the same shape, so that you don't have like one GIF that's like this and one GIF's like that. That's supposed to be on the same line. So you want to, if you have the same ratio for each GIF, then your GIFs or your GIF set will look good. Okay, we gotta move this back now. And a little bit up. Okay, well, that's close enough. Okay, so now we have a good ratio in our GIF, and we have just the space of the GIF that we want. So there's a couple other options here. We've got quality, and so basically that's going to make the picture either fuzzier and less colorful if you move it down, or a little bit more colorful and brighter, or not brighter, but sharper if you move it up. Usually I just leave it at 82 unless I'm starting to have some serious space issues, because it's going to look fine at right where they leave it at 82 and take up a decent amount of space, and it's not that huge of a difference anyway. Brightness, we're not going to use that in this case, but if your picture is really dark, that whatever you're using to pull the GIF off of, you can use this to make the picture brighter. Just realize that the brighter you make something, usually the bigger in size it will end up being. And playback rate will either speed up or slow down the number of GIFs you put, or how fast the frames in your GIF play. So if we wanted to make Torgo look like he's running instead of just walking, we could bump the playback rate way up, and so it'll be like a really fast GIF. But we don't want to do this in this case. We just want to make a a normal speed GIF. So if you leave it at 0, then you have just your normal speed, that it'll look fine. Okay, so down here we have some more options, and these are basically different filters you can put on your GIF. They're pretty self-explanatory. Black and white just removes all color, makes it black and white. Sepia puts a sepia effect on it, so it's kind of an old-timey brown and white effect. Oil painting is kind of an artsy look. Color fade will make it go from being color to black and white, kind of fading out, sort of a gentle fade out of color. Never really use that. Fade edges will kind of make the corners kind of darken, so it looks like you get more of a focus on the center. We don't want to do any of that. The enhance one, though, is something that always comes checked as default. You may want to uncheck it if you're having space issues, or if you think that your GIF looks too grainy. So I'm going to make one with and without enhance, but we're going to leave it on here for right now, just because it's going to show something else. And we're going to do caption next, so let's not worry about that. So for now, let's just take one last look at our GIF. We're pretty happy with it. And we can start our initial GIF by clicking Create GIF. And it's probably going to take about 10 to 20 seconds to make it. For really big GIFs, bigger it is, the more frames and like that, then the longer it takes. Okay, so Instagiffer is telling us that this GIF won't display properly on some social media sites because it's too big. In this case, it's just barely too big. It's 12K too big. I mean, that's not really that big of a deal, but it's just big enough so that Tumblr might not like it and might not want to animate it. So it gives us some suggestions of what to do. We'll just go ahead and close it, and it brings up our GIF. It looks pretty good. It's a little bit grainy, I think, but it's looking pretty sharp, and it's animating well. It's pretty smooth, and you get a good sense of what's going on in the action there, and it's the right size. It's we got the 241K. So there's some tweaks we need to do to this GIF, but it's not bad. Instagiffer also always puts the GIF on your desktop and names it Insta, so you need to either rename it or move it. You probably want to move it and rename it. in order to keep the GIF, because if you don't, then you'll make your changes, you mash the button again, and you're going to rewrite over your old GIF. So we're going to rename this to, we'll just call it attempt 1, so we know that that's our first GIF, and let's make some changes. So we need to make it a little bit smaller. There's a couple of ways we can make it smaller. We could cut into the GIF and only like focus more on this part of the GIF, and that would cut out a lot of space, but we don't really want to do that. We don't need to lose that much stuff, so we'll just go ahead and put this back. And let's see, what else could we do? We could make the frame size smaller, which again, you don't want to make it too much smaller. I wouldn't put it under 225 pixels long at most, because it's going to stretch and look bad. So in this case, since we don't need to lose very much space, then we'll go ahead and leave this frame size as it is. We could reduce the quality, but especially since the quality of the original video is not great, it would not be a great idea to lose some of the quality. Could make it darker, but that would be not a great idea either in this case. Playback rate won't affect that. So our other choice is to remove the enhance, which is something what we're going to do. Another way we can make it smaller is to make the GIF shorter or lose some of the frames out of it. So instead of making it 3 seconds, we could have knocked it down to 2.9 seconds, and it's going to lose a frame or two. Okay, in this case it didn't lose a frame because we didn't knock it down enough time, so we'll try knocking it down to 2.8. It should lose a frame. See, now it's at 126. And the other thing we could do instead of doing it that way is we could remove frames manually by just double clicking on the frame. So if we wanted to just go ahead and lose, let's say, the last frame, then so we could choose which frame we want to lose. We just double click on it, and you can see it goes down to 26. And we could have picked a frame in the middle of the picture or wherever at the beginning. Doesn't matter, we can just lose a frame that way. So in this case, let's go ahead and create the GIF. And so now it doesn't have enhance, and it's got one less frame, and let's see how we do space-wise. Okay, so we have our GIF. We can tell it's a little bit blurrier, and now it's way down to 806K. So we probably removed too much stuff. We made it too different. And we can take a look and see how much different our first attempt and our second attempt to look. So you can kind of see here it's much sharper. It looks better. It's blurrier here. In this case, even though it's grainier here, I think it works well with the way that the picture looks or the GIF looks. So I think in the end, we're going to keep the enhance on in this case. A lot of times I don't, but in this case, I think it is better to keep the enhance on. And so I think we're just going to keep that frame lost, and that's going to probably keep us in a good space, good amount of space wise. Okay, so if I wanted to, I could just make this GIF again, push the button, in 30 seconds it'll be made, and I could publish that GIF. But in this case, we're going to go ahead and add some text to it. And so in order to add text, we just click here to add a new caption, and then click the little tab. And this is our text box. So there's a few things we do. First of all, we can add the words we want to put in. So in this case, I'm going to put in I took care of the place where the master is away. That is a quote that Torgo says. It's his famous quote. That if you've ever seen Manos or heard of it, you probably heard that line. So we have our text in there. I'm going to put it on 2 lines because it's just too much text to put on 1 line and be able to read it all. You'd have to make this font really, really small in order to read all of that on 1 line, and then you couldn't read it anyway because it would be too small. So then you can pick basically any of your fonts that you have. A neat trick is if you click on it like this so it's highlighted, you can use your mouse wheel to kind of scroll down. In this case, I'm going to use one that I had already picked out. I'm going to use it's a typewriter looking font, which I thought was named typewriter, but I am wrong. Oh, here it is, rough typewriter. And we'll use the regular version of it. Okay, and for now we're going to leave it at 20-point font and kind of see what happens there. We can also pick a color for the font. A white font might not look great on this, a pure white, because it's very bright already, and so it might be kind of hard to read. So in this case, I'm going to give it a little bit of yellow color, which will balance out against that pink, and you should be able to read it better. You can make it as light or dark as you want. In this case, I'm going to make it a little kind of light. I don't want the font color to be overpowering on the GIF. So we'll click that. Um, if your font has different style options, you can click it there, but there hardly ever are. You can make uh, your text blink here if you wanted to. Blinking, I think, is annoying. I don't know why anybody would choose it in most circumstances, but there you go. You can also pick where it's positioned, so you can have it in the top or the right or the left or whatever. In most cases, you just want to pick bottom because it's going to be bottom center, and that's where most GIFs are. You could also, if you only wanted the text to be on screen for a while, you could pick where the text would start at and where the text would end at, and it's nice because it kind of gives you the frames when you're moving that around. But in this case, we're going to want to just go ahead and leave it on there the whole time. So we click OK, and let's create our GIF again and see how it comes. Taking a little longer. Okay, so here we go, and we can see that we have some issues because the font's too big, or it needs to be on more lines or something because the front and the end of the sentence are gone. So we can go ahead and easily rectify that in a couple of ways. Like I said, we could make it on 3 lines, but then the text would start like up here. It would take up half the screen, and that wouldn't look great. So we are going to bring it down to, let's say, 14-point font. It'll be a little small, but you know, we'll see how it goes. Probably still gonna be legible. Okay. So yeah, it's still legible. You can see it here, and it fits on the screen nicely. It doesn't take up too much of the screen. You can still see what's going on. So there you go. This is probably the GIF that I'm going to use and post on my Tumblr at some point soon. So it looks great. It's legible. The font is kind of, it matches the mood of the GIF, especially kind of an old-timey typewriter on the old-timey GIF. So that's basically it. That's the basics of using Instagiffer. I mean, the more you use it, the more you get used to it, the cooler things you'll be able to do. But I would say most of the stuff that I make these days, I make in Instagiffer. There's a couple of other more like longer ways to do things, but that can make things look better and more options and cooler. But I mean, if you're just getting started using GIFs, you just want to bang some cool GIFs out really fast and not have to worry about Photoshop and manually cutting frames and that kind of thing, then Instagiffer is just an amazing little tool to make things really easy. So I hope that some of you guys will start using Instagiffer and making your own GIFs. Can't wait to see you guys do. Thanks. Bye.